Welcome to the Staffing Playbook podcast, your go-to resource for navigating the dynamic world of staffing and HR. I'm your host, Stephen Farrell. Join me each week as we dive deep into the strategies, insights, and stories that shape the staffing industry. From the latest trends to expert interviews and practical tips, we'll equip you with the right tools and knowledge to succeed in the staffing industry. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, the Staffing Playbook is here to help you play your best game. Let's get started.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Staffing Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Steve Farrell. We are in episode 14. We've got a fantastic guest and a great topic. Today's topic is how to become a trusted partner for your clients. So this is for those that are in the staffing industry that are having a hard time, with their current, customers or getting new customers. And this is also applicable. We'll be sharing strategies for anyone that does client management. I am joined here today by Kenny Lane. He's the area manager at Your Employment Solutions. How you doing, Kenny?
Doing great, man. You got a great intro here. Makes you want to go work out or something.
It does the opposite for me. Kenny, before we get started, why don't you tell everyone you're new to the podcast? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. My name's Kenneth, area manager at Your Employment Solutions. It always sounds crazy to say out loud, but I've been a part of the YES organization for 11 years. So basically a third of my life. But it's been great to be part of such a great organization and company that treats you well and, really cares about your growth. So I think it says a lot when you have a handful of employees at the company who are super tenured. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we are thrilled to have you here today. I'm thrilled to have you here today. You've got a lot of expertise around becoming a trusted partner for your clients. Big topic. Today's November 1st. So we just had Halloween last night. And, I just moved back from Texas, where Halloween is a big deal in Texas. Everybody's out in front of their driveways with canopies and grilling and handing out treats and drinks. And, in Utah, there's a lot of trunk or treats. You get a lot of bang for your buck, but you don't get as much trick or treaters. But I was pleasantly surprised that we had a lot of people throughout our neighborhood knocking on the doors. It was a lot of fun. How about you? Did you have a good Halloween?
Yeah, it was honestly our first Halloween. We have two young kids, 2 years old and 10 months. So it was really fun to watch the 2-year-old run up to houses. A theme last night, though, was there was a lot of just left out candy, bags or buckets. So there was a lot of times where we went up to the porch and the bucket was already empty.
Oh, no.
What probably happened
the
there.
Kid before him just dumped the whole thing in their bag.
Probably. Yeah. So can't trust anybody these days. But they were probably out trick-or-treating just like ourselves. So, but no, it was super fun. Our 2-year-old would say, trick or treat, and then he'd walk away, sing Happy Halloween, and that parent, would laugh, say super cute. So it was a great experience. We can't looking forward to many more.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun with young kids. There's got to be an age cutoff, though. Like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. You see all those teenagers knocking on your door at 9 o'clock at night. I don't know. Should we cut off an age at some point, Kenny?
Yeah, I think maybe 16. I think that 13 to 15 age range is still okay. They still want to be kids, get the last of it. So I think I'm a fan of stay as kid as long as possible. But yeah, when we got back from trick-or-treating ourselves, I started answering our door, and I'm expecting to look down, right? And then I look up or above me, and I'm like, oh, here you go. Have fun. So
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump right into the topic today, talking about being a trusted partner with your clients. It's pretty typical in the staffing industry that agencies are very transactional. I need a person, you find me a person, right? It's often looked at as a commodity, and there's really so much more that an agency partner can provide, to you as really being a trusted partner in their employment strategy. So I'm going to start off with the question. Just walk us through the difference between a commodity in this business versus being a true partner in their employment strategy. What's the difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely a hot topic, especially as we're treated as commodities. So we're trying to break through that barrier every single day. But I honestly think a trusted partner, trusted advisor, you prove you're an expert in your field over time, and you listen to the problems. And it's not just listening; it's you have solutions, that can take their game to the next level. So whether that be poor culture, poor attrition, lack of leadership within their own organization, which tends to be a theme amongst companies that we work with and that they struggle with. So, but we just look for it as an opportunity to serve and help them, win. So, I mean, honestly, you throw out the word commodity in there. So, the cool part about our business is that because normally in a business, you solve a problem and you either provide a product or a service. And
Yeah.
we're in a cool position, a unique position where we do both,
Yeah.
right? It kind of sounds a little bit harsh to say, but we do deliver people. But there's a service side to it as well, with customer service and just consulting with them. So,
Yeah.
really, commodity, a product or service that can be bought or sold from different vendors, which we all know how many staffing companies there are. Seems like there's one that we hear about, a new one each week. So, and
Mhm.
then I would say a trusted partner, if you can break through those barriers and hidden agendas, it's someone who has your best interests in hand and someone who takes the time to understand, your needs, the client's needs, like better than anybody else, right? So,
That's right.
and then we just want to be a part of the labor strategy, so we want to have a seat at their table, have them use us in their decision making, because if we can do that, then we've basically solidified ourselves, in their business, and it's a win-win,
Yeah.
situation.
You
So
said something interesting a minute ago about you have a service, you have a commodity, and then you have service, right? You have our workforce. They're not just a commodity. These are people. These are people with goals. They have financial expectations, career aspirations, and so you can't just buy and sell. Like you go to a Best Buy or a retail store, you buy something off the shelf, it doesn't work, you get a refund and get a new one. But here you're dealing with people, you're dealing with relationships. And so as a trusted partner in someone's employment strategy, it's more than just providing them talent. It's helping them not only secure the talent, but keep the talent, develop the talent. And anybody that's in the business of employing people, they know that it's important to have the right people in the right spot on their team, so they can reach their objectives to get their product out to their customers. And so people are people, and people make mistakes, and so you have to really isolate those challenges that companies are having with their workforce and partner with them. Like you mentioned, a seat at their table. It's like, let's identify the problem. Is the turnover because the lack of qualifications of the people coming through the door? Is it the lack of proper management out on the floor? Is there a culture piece? there could be a million different things that can cause you to lose people and to not have a productive workforce. And so, you've been doing this for 11 years. I've been hiring people for 20 years of my career, and you tend to pick up on trends and you find things that are working and things that are not, and it can make a huge difference in someone's business. And so, yes, you have a job order, we can find the people, but that's not where it starts and that's not where it ends. I'm curious, have you've worked with a lot of different companies and you've helped them with their employment strategy. Is there a scenario in the past where you've had, maybe a transactional relationship with a customer and you were able to really engage in their employment strategy and help them see help them see, this partnership that it has a value? Were you able to engage with that client and help them make the shift from being being looked at as a commodity versus being, a partner in their employment strategy?
Yeah, for sure. I have a few examples that I could share. And I mean, I can preface this a little bit, but I think unfortunately there is kind of a dating phase where you're trying to understand your client's needs. You ask the right questions, but they're still hesitant. They're still unsure on your agenda and how well you mean. So unless the client is super upfront, themselves about having a super great, mutual relationship, we kind of have to work ourselves from the ground up once that contract is signed, or even before that, to gain, that customer's trust and buy-in. So, and honestly, that just comes with doing the little things day in and day out correctly to help build that trust, which hopefully in turn, that those clients will address their pain points, and that kind of gives you opportunities to pinpoint those and offer solutions. But the one example I do have, this customer, they used 3 or 4 agencies at that time, treated everyone like a mere commodity, putting butts in seats. In our staffing terminology, sending a warm body, which just means whoever has 2 hands, right, and can do the job. We already knew, even before signing the contract, we knew they had a turnover problem, right? Just based on the open positions and all the agencies that they used. And so we kind of knew what we were walking into, but we took it as an opportunity to kind of gain or track some data within those first 30 days. And now that we had our own data, we didn't have the scale yet as the other, agencies, but our data showed they had a 300% annualized turnover rate.
Ooh.
And so, just in the manufacturing department. So from then on, as we tracked that data, we were able to share it, and it proved our point to where, we need to address this together. And then, there's some, I don't know what you'd call it, some soft skills, some delicacy at play where you want to make it a we, us problem. Let's fix this together rather than put it on them. Because if you can make it about you guys together, then hopefully they won't take any offense to it or won't get emotional. And I mean, it wasn't overnight. It took a long time, but we were able to eliminate, quite a bit of their turnover. And so we were both happy, with the outcome.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like the building trust part that you mentioned. I was visiting with a prospective customer before, and I just asked a simple question. Like, this customer had 4 different agencies in the building, and so I just pointedly asked, how do you look to your agencies for your support? Do you look at this as a commodity, just transactional, or do you look to your agencies as someone that can partner with you in your employment strategy? And really, team up with you in helping get the right people and keep the right people. And this HR leader was, he was pretty frank. He says, it's transactional for me. It's just, right price, lowest price, really. And if you can fill my job orders, that's all that matters. And I thought, okay, well, you know, you're really not a customer for me, because this has to be more than transactional. We're dealing with real people, real lives, and I don't want to just keep sending you people so they can just turn over. Like I want to make sure that we can, really support these people in their development and their goals. And so we disagreed, and we didn't move forward with that company. And I think staffing agencies have a hard time walking away from business, because that's real revenue on the table that you're leaving. But at the end of the day, are you in the business? Do you want to be a commodity as a staffing agency, or do you want to be a partner in their business and in their employment strategy? And sure, there's a case for being transactional. If that's you, that's great. But I found in my career that long term, that's not a winning strategy for the customer, for the individual being placed on the job, and for the staffing agency that's providing those individuals. So it's a real challenge. But um, I'm curious, when you look at some of the top qualities or behaviors that with the clients you've worked with that become you become a trusted partner when it comes to staffing. What are some of those top qualities or behaviors that you see in those companies or HR leaders?
Um, I think it's time and transparency. So you have to know upfront it's going to take time. Hopefully they know that. Hopefully they know that as well. Where you want to have an overnight success story, but we all know that's not how it works. So you can't expect a new customer to believe anything or everything you say up front. Right? You have to follow through with what you talked about, even from sales to operations on your side. Make sure sales and operations also agree with what's being delivered or promised
Yeah.
from the get-go. But then over time, the relationship should hopefully get stronger. And then just the transparency of being realistic on how long it's going to take to fill their roles. Um, just like you mentioned, the transparency of this isn't the relationship that we're looking for. We've been a part of these relationships. Sure, we can make some money off it, but it's not our kind of target audience. So we
Yeah.
really value our partnerships, and we value our own time, and we believe strongly in our rates as well. So I think transparency and honesty go hand in hand, but giving them, because you talk about qualities or behaviors. So honesty, just giving them feedback, whether it's good or bad,
Mhm.
based on experiences or data, especially data, because it just takes the emotion out of anything that you're trying to present. So
Yeah. Yeah. Transparency is key. And I like that you mentioned the relationship building aspect, because this is a relationship that we're building. And, what I find with the clients that I've worked with and become really their trusted partner in their employment strategy, it wasn't all rainbow and sunshine. Like there was a lot of speed bumps, and, you're in it with them when things are tough, and you're there when things are going really well. But it's really important that you're consistent in delivering those long-term results over just hitting those immediate goals, because there are going to be some hard times that our customers are going to experience, whether it's going on hiring freeze, or even worse, laying off people, and or maybe cost cutting. You have to lower your rates for a short period to support them, to help them still hit their income goals. And if you're there for the long haul, if you're thinking long term, you're building these relationships, you're with them when it's hard. Like when you don't have a person that was needed this morning, instead of just forgetting about it, and you don't want to tell the customer the bad news. No, you're the night before communicating with that HR manager or that warehouse manager, letting him know, hey, it doesn't look realistic that I can get you this person tomorrow. I'm really sorry, but we are not going to stop. But I want to equip you with this information so you can plan ahead of time to maybe you bring someone else in, or there's some overtime worked. But being transparent, back to what you mentioned, is really important. Just like the whole, you mentioned like dating in the beginning of this conversation. You need to be transparent, and this is a relationship that you're building, and it takes time, but you've got to think long term, right?
That's a great example with just if you know an employee isn't going to go into work the next day, it might seem, you know, not super important, but to that client it is. And if you can give them any sort of heads up to pivot, to make adjustments, to get someone in the right place, because you never know how critical a role someone might play in day-to-day
That's right.
operations. So
Yeah, they have a business to run just like you and I do. And if you're
mhm.
short a person, you need to be able to, you need to know that. You need to know that from your agency so
Mhm.
you can plan ahead. And sure, they might be upset with you, right, Kenny? There's been plenty of times customers have been upset with you because you couldn't get them the people or the person. But but they appreciate that transparency. And if you're working to make it right, you're going to be able to continue to hold on to that relationship.
Yep, 100%.
So, how do staffing agencies, the ones that struggle with that being in that commodity phase, acting like a commodity, being treated like a commodity, what's holding them back?
Yeah, another good question. I mean, I think most agencies right now, I mean, even myself, I'm to blame for it as well. I never took the time to really understand our clients, in the beginning of my staffing career, right? I just worried about what type of skills does this employee need and how fast can I get them there, So, and if they don't show up, then how fast can I get someone else there? But um, it's just taking the time to understand, I think, the customer's needs and or wants, what keeps them up at night, what are their wishes, and just understanding each business, each customer that you have is unique. And I think agencies can sometimes do themselves a disservice and just missed opportunities by just worrying about what they care about, which is kind of putting a warm body out there and making a profit from it. And they're not providing any other value besides, sending that person. So, and then I think since they know they're viewed as a commodity, I believe they can just kind of offer lower rates and they can kind of undercut. And I think that kind of sheds a kind of a bad light on all the rest of us, right?
Mhm.
Because we're kind of caught in this rate game. But I mean, just was it yesterday or the day before? Very recent. I was at one of our main customers and we've worked with them for a little bit over, I think, 18 months now. And just the week before, they had 7 agency reps from different agencies walk into their business, try to get through the gatekeeper. They would ask questions on who do you use, what rate are they at. Um, they could say that they can match it or best it, right?
Mm,
But we have such a foundational relationship with this client that the gatekeeper was getting a little frustrated,
yeah.
from my understanding. And she went to her executive team member, and that executive team member came out and talked to a few of those reps, just saying, I don't care what rate you have. I know my numbers because she's also from staffing, right? I don't trust
Mm,
these numbers. And even if you do have a lower rate, we're super happy with who we have because of our bond and what they've been able to prove and provide. But when you have your own customer kind of sticking your neck out for you, I think that's kind of know you
yeah.
won, so to speak. So
Yeah.
like I said, that was a super recent example.
No, that's a great story, great example. When your customers stick their neck out for you, that's when you know you've really built a strong partnership and we're all on the same page, working towards the same goals. I hear that all the time. I've heard even up to 30 visits in one week from different agencies, and it's real tasking on these clients because they've got better things to do, and other things to worry about. But
Definitely.
back to the whole commodity piece. I was reading some stats from the American Staffing Association that said nearly 70% of users, of staffing agencies. So these are clients that staffing agencies serve. They use more than one staffing firm, and so to me, that clearly showcases that agencies are not getting the trust or that exclusivity that they want, and so it's just this bidding war on price, which price is important. and you have to be competitive in price. But a customer won on price can be a customer also lost on price, and so it has to be more than just price. Are you truly solving a pain point for them, whether it's active pain or a latent pain, or a future unknown pain that we're trying to wrap our arms around and make sure it doesn't become a real pain point. And so I think agencies struggle to really comprehend that, because it's just a lot of companies, let's just sign the contract, let's bring it on, at any case. So in your experience, Kenny, what are some of those biggest challenges that you see agencies face when they're trying to move past that commodity and build that long-term partnership with clients? What are some of those challenges? So we've identified we want to move past it, but how do we get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's dependent on the customer's own labor strategy and what they want from the partnership. Sometimes for our customers, it might make sense to use one or two agencies. Even if you want that, that business all to yourself, right? But keep one as a primary, one as a backup, depending on the volume and seasonality, maybe. Because at the end of the day, our customers have a job to fill, especially because we're dealing with HR leaders, and if they don't fill their jobs, then they get questioned internally from their managers and supervisors. But I mean, I'm not against using one or two. I think it keeps things fresh, keep things competitive, keeps you on your toes. But I mean, I think that one thing does need to change. If you go on there, just like you mentioned, a customer won on rate will also be lost on rate. I think that can change from the get-go to help agencies to propel themselves out of that commodity phase. And so I think I mentioned it earlier, just with the rate undercutting, I think it gives us all a bad rep, and there's really no need for it.
Yeah.
If you value your own business, if you know your numbers and the type of value that you can give, it's like there's no price tag on it really. So
I actually, one of the primary reasons I found Yes, and I'm with Yes today, is I was working with for a different staffing company at the time, and we and Yes were servicing the same client in the same building. And we really, learned to work together, because the client has expectations, they have goals. And regardless of who's supporting them, whether it's one agency or 5 agencies, they still want the same outcome, right? And so I partnered with Yes, even though Yes was my competitor at the time. And we worked like we were one team, one agency, even though we're completely separate when it comes to supporting the client and making sure their needs are met. And it was a wonderful partnership, and everybody won. There was no losers. Didn't matter if Yes had more headcount or the company I was with had more headcount. We took care of the customer, and the customer was really thrilled. And I think when you look at those long-term paths of trying to become more than just a commodity, but a true partner in their business, well, why not partner with other partners in their business, like another agency? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think there should be more of that in our industry, where we team up, we work together to better serve our clients to meet their overall business goals. And I think that's missed a lot, and we could do better as an industry. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. In my 11 years of staffing experience, I've had the opportunity to be on site at 2 different locations, 2 different years and 2 different companies, but both those companies used 2 or 3 agencies, and I was always under the impression too on just work politely, happily amongst even if they are your competitors, because at the end of the day, if you're the one making that initiation to make sure your client is satisfied, needs are fulfilled. At the end of the day, if there comes a time with, okay, we have 3 agencies, but let's go down to 1, you want to make sure you're that one based on, how you treated even just your competitors. I think it goes a really long way. So it's a good point.
Yeah. Another question I want to discuss here is just expanding further on this is, how do we, as agencies, staffing agencies, how do we better align our services with our clients' overall business goals rather than just that, reactive, immediate needs. How do we get ourselves aligned with their actual business goals? Because I think that's often missed in just our conversations with customers. It's one thing what's typical is you just talk about open orders, right? And if we can fill them or not, and how long that's going to take. But it's much bigger than that, right? There's bigger goals there's a reason why they need those people.
Yeah, it's tough because our customers are, and I've learned this myself the hard way a couple of times, but they're reactive to their own customers, right? I think sometimes us agency folk can forget that, where we just want them to place orders and we're ready for them, but we don't realize there's a whole lot of other stuff happening in their own business. And sometimes that can create a domino effect on the reactiveness. That's, I think, pretty typical in our industry. But I would just say learn your customer the best you can, understand their history, ask what trends they have, consider their seasonality of work. And honestly, you can even consider what's going on in the market or the economy that's going to impact them and you in return. So at the end of the day, it's kind of that philosophy of control what you can control, or only worry about that, and then whatever is out of your control will happen. But as long as you're ready and you understand your client's needs, you'll be ready for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation about agencies needing to act more like a strategic consultant, right? I've read just in the light industrial sector, over 50% or close to 50% of companies have indicated they want more strategic input from their staffing partners. And I think that's a big miss. When you're meeting with a customer, you want to not only know what their immediate needs are, but then short-term, long-term. I always ask a question, Kenny, with HR partners and others in the building. How's your sales team doing, right? How does their forecast looking? Are they bringing in the business that you need? Are they struggling? You want to dig a little bit deeper, not just on the headcount piece, but overall, what's their business goals and objective, and do they have a support team, and are they reaching are they meeting their forecast? And that I get a lot of surprising answers. Some HR partners they have no clue how their sales team is doing and what to expect, and so they go and ask, and it's like, oh, I got some more information for you. Actually, we are expecting a big lift here in the next quarter, or we're expecting a decline. And now we can partner on helping them with either scenario. Sometimes customers have to lay off a workforce because business is down. And so instead of going, oh, I'm really sorry, stay in touch, let us know when it gets better. It's like, hey, can I meet with these individuals when it's appropriate, when you're ready to deliver the news? Can I introduce them to some other opportunities so they don't miss a beat in their pay, right? That's becoming a true partner in someone's business, is providing solutions, for even worst case scenario when you're losing that business, but you're still, helping those associates not be left without a job or a paycheck.
100%. Your example rings so true regarding how are sales going? What are you forecasting for the rest of the year, this quarter? Without shedding too much light on this customer of ours, but they're a nutraceutical company, and they've had their main kind of vendor that I won't mention, but every 2 years they put in quite the request to audit very heavily, and it creates a bottleneck effect within their own production and manufacturing team. And they've relied and solely on this one vendor to get their product out. That they've hired, I think this was about 4 months ago, they hired about 3 new salesmen to go out, find other avenues, to sell their product and service. And, for them telling us that just confirms that they're making changes, they're making efforts, which it might not impact us at the moment, but down the road, we know they're going to be placing more orders soon. So yeah, just having that because I think it works both ways with the open communication. So,
Yeah, certainly. Do you think the staffing industry itself? Do you think we're doing enough to educate our clients on the value of a true partnership, or what can we do differently? Because I personally don't think we're doing enough to really, educate and build a true partnership.
yeah, probably not. Just given the current situation that we run into right now, with potential customers using 3 or 4, 5, 6 different agencies, I think just rings true to that notion.
Yeah.
Some of that strategy from that customer's point of view is just ensuring all their jobs are filled in a timely manner, especially if they might have lower pay or they're looking for a certain skill set. Um, but if an agency can really take the time to understand that client's needs and really prepare for it, I think they really should just be committing to 1 to 2 partnerships at a time, especially because, from my point of view or perspective, if you're using 6 different agencies, and I'll try to put this kindly, it somewhat shows that you might not be super committed to using 1 or 2. And if I'm going to take the time and dedicate myself and my team, to servicing, whatever you need, I want to know, you're going to meet me halfway when things do get hard. So
Yeah. Yeah. You have to ask the question is, with your clients is what is success? What does this partnership look like? If this is a success, how do we define success as your agency partner? What does that look like to you, HR manager, or business owner, or logistics manager? Like, if we look at the future state, what does this partnership look like if it's going to be successful? Let them, really define that, because it's not a one size fits all. You mentioned that earlier. Clients have different needs, and if we're not asking the right questions to really understand their needs, we're going to be treating them all the same, and it's going to be very different from customer to customer. There was a survey done that showcased 30% of clients in the staffing industry view their agency partner, as part of the success in their business as a trusted partner. So clearly, there's a 70% gap, huge gap. And do you think, Kenny, that's on us to bridge the gap, or do clients need to be educated better from their side too? Oh, did I lose you, Kenny? Kenny's frozen here. We'll give him a second. I'll say that, I think it certainly goes both ways. I think customers need, you need to ask the question if they want to treat this relationship as a commodity, or do they want the agency to have a seat at the table? I'm going to take Kenny off the screen here since he's still frozen. Well, we're coming up on time, so this is perfect time for Kenny to be frozen. I think if we boil it down, if you want to be a partner in your client's employment strategy, we got Kenny back. You there? Oh.
can you hear me?
All right, you're there.
Wi-Fi issues. You know how it goes.
It's always the worst in his branch. So Kenny, let's kind of wrap it up. We're coming here at a closing. Let's kind of just recap some of the best tips when it comes to really becoming a trusted partner for your clients and removing yourself from that transactional game where you are a commodity.
I think just doing your homework, show that you're a professional, in your certain industry. Research your client. Be willing to ask those tough questions to, understand your client more, and just the better understand your customers and their business, just shows you care, and from those opportunities will arise, for any type of support or consulting that you might have. So. Yeah, sorry I froze there. I think
No, you're fine. It
answered,
happens.
so.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I think it's really important to build those relationships, build the trust, showcase the transparency, being there for them through the good and the bad. really being a resource, outside of just staffing people, helping them with their retention strategies, giving them market data, letting them know about, what trends you're seeing in the market, maybe some of the companies that are moving in or moving out, the companies that are increasing wages, decreasing hiring criteria. All this information is really helpful to be able to share. So you give your client the opportunity to respond in kind, to figure out a strategy that's going to work for them. We've all heard about the rising storm, a big report published by Lightcast, senior economist, that we are going to, over the next 40 years, unless something drastically changes, and Kenny has 5 more kids than the rest of us, we have, over the next 5 years, a labor shortage that's going to last for 40 years. And so your people cannot be a commodity when you're entering that type of economy where there is a dire labor shortage. You have to, really learn to retain your people and keep them happy. And as an agency partner, you can be there right next to them, helping them, equip them with the right information to help them map out their strategy and to ensure that they don't fall short in their people.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
Well, Kenny, such a delight. So glad you joined us this week. And next week, we're going to be talking about the difference between 1099 and W-2 employees. We're going to outline the risks of contract work and give you some of the 3 qualifying criteria, whether they should be a 1099 contractor versus a W-2. There's a lot of apps out there now, a lot of agencies that are, working in that kind of gray area. And so we want to equip you next week with some tips to be on the lookout so you can make an educated approach for your staffing needs in your business. So be on the lookout. Next week, we'll be joined by Nick, who's our controller, and he's got some great tips that he's going to share, as well as some cautions to consider when it comes to the risks. So next Friday.
I think that's a super hot topic. Can't wait to tune in.
Thank
you, Steve.
Thanks, everybody.
You. All right.
6 months ago, I get a call from Steve Farrell, who wants to talk about partnering with Yes for our labor needs. It would
change your approach to staffing.
Change my approach to staffing?
We're short on employees. Again. So we're going to have to shut down a line. Sorry.
I told him I've already used multiple agencies and have had headaches with each one. So my approach to staffing is just fine.
With multiple agencies, we thought we had our staffing needs covered.
I had negotiated a super low rate to save on labor costs.
And I could pursue my passions outside of work because I never had to stay overtime due to turnover, productivity, or training issues.
The agency sent quality people. Well, they sent people. Sometimes.
My love of language and lexicon languished.
I negotiated a super low rate.
Hey, the agency employees didn't show up, so we're short on staff again.
Dang it. Bupkis. Curses. Fetch.
Hey, an agency sent an employee.
Do you have production experience?
I've produced YouTube videos. I'm hungry. When's my first break?
This is not sustainable. If you want happy customers and a healthy business, something's got to change. So yes, we tried Yes.
Yes focuses on finding the right people for the right job.
Turnover is down, productivity is up.
Yes trains
Or onboards.
quality employees, ensuring they have the skills
Or proper work ethic.
our company needs to succeed.
Thrive.
Yes provides us with quality data so we don't have to juggle multiple agencies to fill our needs.
They could have doubled our rate.
No, they could not have.
Okay, maybe not doubled, but Yes's cost was cheaper in the end. They solved our problems, which were way more expensive than a few points on rate.
I'm just happy Yes provides us with good people.
Great employees to fill our workflow gaps.
And Yes brings them fast.
Yes specializes in production, warehouse, manufacturing.
And I love that Yes focuses on workplace safety.
Yes also offers services like time clock and
Payroll services, forklift drivers, pickers, packers, general labor.
I like how Yes customizes their screenings to our needs.
I love that we've hired many Yes employees as
Short-term, direct hire, seasonal work, part-time, full-time,
and long-term members of our company.
I love partnering with Yes. No more gaps in production, and I can focus on efficiency without stressing about costs or people. Yes really has
revolutionized.
changed our approach to staffing. Our people are happy.
Your customers are happy.
And that makes me
Delirious.
happy.
Delighted.
Happy.
Thrilled.
Happy.
Cheerful. Gratified. Ecstatic.
Happy. He said happy.
Sunny. Jovial. Tickled. Pleased.
Happy.